Would you survive one night among the Vikings? Not as a berserker, not as a king, but as a shield maiden, fierce, frostbitten, and feared. The cold bites through fur and iron. The mead is warm, but the stairs across the fire are colder. Tonight, you'll hear the drums of war. Tonight, your name will be tested, sung or forgotten. Could you face the longship's creaking silence, the gods' endless judgment, and the sudden shout before battle? Let's find out. Welcome back, traveler. This is Wandering Storyteller, where history doesn't just whisper, it roars. If you're new here, we do things a little differently. You don't just watch history, you walk in it, you live it. So tuck in, breathe deep, and step into another world. What you're about to hear is rooted in real Viking culture. But no dates, no quizzes, just story, wrapped in truth, carried on wind, and cracked open like a longship in the surf. Tonight, we sail north. The moment you open your eyes, the cold is the first to greet you. Not a polite chill, a bite. Sharp, ancient, honest. Your breath curls in the dark like a small ghost, vanishing into the rafters above. You lie on a thick bed of furs, bear, wolf, maybe reindeer, but even they feel thin this morning. The wooden beams above are carved with twisted creatures. Serpents, wolves, knots without ends. You sit up slowly. Everything aches. Not from sleep, but from training. From surviving. You are a shield maiden of the north. Your name was given at birth, but your honor must be earned with every sunrise. Someone shouts from outside. You rise, still wrapped in layers of wool and hide. You tighten the belt at your waist. Slide your fingers across the rim of your shield, hanging near the door. Round, painted with faded red. The edge is chipped. That happened last week. You took a blow that would have broken another's arm. You did not fall. You step outside. The wind punches your cheeks pink. Snow dusts the wooden path between the houses. Above you, the sky is pale, silver with streaks of blue. A raven watches from the rooftop. You nod at it. It doesn't nod back. The longhouse behind you is one of many in the village, nestled beside a fjord. The water is calm, like it's holding its breath. The longships are waiting. Their carved prows rise from the mist like sea dragons. Today, you're not just training. You're sailing. A boy, barely 10 winters old, runs past you carrying a bundle of dried fish. He trips. You catch him by the arm. He looks up at you wide-eyed, then bolts away, laughing. Your hand tingles where you touched his sleeve. It reminded you of something, or someone, but there's no time for memories. You walk down to the shore. The village is already alive. Children haul water. Men sharpen axes. Women tend to fires and pull cloaks tight over their shoulders. Everyone has a role. Even the dogs have purpose. Howling, chasing, guarding. At the dock, your Jarl stands, tall and watchful. Her name is Astrid. Her braid is thick with age and salt. Her face is a map of battles you've only heard in half-sung stories. She sees you and nods once. That's all. Respect in this world is measured in glances, not speeches. You place your hand on the edge of the longship. It's damp with sea mist. The wood groans under your fingers, like it remembers storms. You remember your first time on the water, vomiting over the side, too proud to admit it. Now, you're steady. You board. The rowers settle in. You take your place beside another shield maiden named Era. Her eyes are the color of storm clouds. She rarely speaks, but when she does, the whole boat listens. The drummer begins. Not a song, a pulse. Boom, boom, boom. Each beat tells your arms when to pull. Each breath is time to motion. Your body moves with the ship like muscle with bone. The land shrinks behind you. The fjord opens its arms, and the sea welcomes you like an old friend with cruel jokes. Hours pass, maybe more. No one counts. Time is only measured by hunger and waves. At last, you land. Not for raiding. Not this time. This is a feast. A joining of clans. The shield maidens of another village wait on the shore. You recognize none of their faces, but all their weapons. You disembark. There is tension, at first. There always is. Strangers watch you from beneath fur-lined brows. Every handshake could be a test. But then a horn blows. A welcome. And the fire is lit. It crackles in the pit like it's speaking its own language. Around it, food is laid out on wooden boards and leaf-wrapped bundles. Roasted lamb, smoked fish, thick bread, roots, and berries soaked in honey. Mead flows in horned cups, golden and sharp. You sit across from a woman your age. Her name is Brinja. She laughs loudly, drinks louder. She tells you she once punched a berserker in the throat when he tried to take her share of elk meat. You believe her. Later, when the mead is warm in your belly and your shield is propped beside you, the skald begins to sing. His voice is low and smooth, like the wind sliding under a door. He tells of Odin, of the tree that holds 9 realms, of Freyja, goddess of battle and beauty, of the Valkyries, winged women who ride the sky to choose the brave. You wonder if they are real, and if they are, whether they are watching you now. You look at the fire, dancing in its pit like a warrior showing off. You don't want to sleep. Not yet. The stars above are sharper than knives. You're not home, but you're not lost either. You're something else tonight. You are a shield maiden. Not by birth, not by blood, but by choice. And that is stronger than either. The fire has burned low, but it still breathes. Orange embers shift and spark, casting flickers on faces that once looked unfamiliar. Now, they're flushed with mead and laughter, strangers no longer. You lean back against a log, a cup in your hand. Mead, sweet and stinging, thick with fermented honey and spice. The kind that makes your cheeks warm and your tongue a little looser. Across from you, the skald. His name is Kettle. You've learned, still sings, but now it's softer. Not tales of gods or glory, but ones of foolish men and clever women. The kind of stories that don't make it into the sagas, but live on in the kitchens and quiet corners of longhouses. A woman beside you chuckles, then snorts. That one's about my cousin, she says. He really did try to marry a goat once. You laugh, maybe harder than you should, but that's what these nights are for. The Vikings, your people, feasted not just for celebration, but for survival. These long, dark winters could crush spirits. So you made noise. You filled the silence with voices, drums, stories, and songs. And you honored the old ways. You notice now, beneath the laughter and warmth, small details all around you. Someone has braided twigs into a spiral and laid them near the fire. A small carved horse, just a thumb's length tall, sits at the base of a drinking horn. Someone else tosses a piece of bread into the flames. Offerings, tiny gestures of thanks to the gods, or to the land, or perhaps to ancestors long gone, who might be sitting here beside you in spirit, invisible but listening. That's how Vikings saw the world, not as empty, but as crowded with presence. You shift closer to the warmth. Across from you, an old woman begins to speak. Her voice is rough, but sure. She tells a story not with rhythm like the skald, but with weight. You can feel it land with each word. She speaks of Freyja, not the romantic goddess some make her out to be, but the warrior, the chooser of the slain, the one who claimed half of the dead in battle for her own hall, Folkvanger, while Odin took the rest to Valhalla. Men forget, the old woman says, that Freyja wears a necklace of fire, not flowers. You stare into the flames. You imagine her, Freyja, riding through the sky in a chariot pulled by cats, her cloak stitched with falcon feathers, eyes sharp as frost. Not soft, sacred. She would understand you, you think. You, who fights not for blood or land, but for place, for honor, for meaning. In the Viking world, shield maidens were real, though not common. Women trained in combat did exist. Some joined raids, others defended their homes. They were mentioned in sagas, praised in poetry, and sometimes buried with weapons at their side. Archaeologists once uncovered a grave in Birka, Sweden, long thought to be a male warrior's, complete with swords, spears, and a game board that suggested military strategy. But later tests revealed The warrior was a woman. That truth had been buried, too. You smile. You wonder if she'd sit by your fire tonight. You close your eyes for a moment. Not sleep, just rest. The drums are gone now. Only the fire remains. And then, the wind changes. You open your eyes. Someone is standing nearby. It's not a stranger. It's Astrid, your Jarl. She nods toward the edge of the woods. Walk with me. You do. The snow crunches beneath your boots. The moon overhead is round and watchful. The trees creak with frost. For a while, she says nothing. You match her pace. Slow, steady. Then, do you remember your first raid? You nod. You remember the hunger beforehand. The way your hands shook, not from fear, but from fury you didn't understand. You remember the silence before the fight began. And the shouting after. You remember the blood. Yours. Theirs. The way it steamed in the cold. Astrid stops. She doesn't look at you. Do you remember what you felt afterward? You do. Not pride. Not guilt. Something else. She exhales. They think we enjoy it. The fighting. The burning. But that's not it. She looks up. It's the silence after. The knowing. That you are still here. That your feet touch the earth. And you are unchanged, and yet not the same. You nod. She places something in your hand. A small stone. Smooth. Polished. Scratched with a rune. You don't recognize the symbol. She doesn't explain. Carry it, she says. You will. You return to the fire. Fewer people now. Some have curled up beneath cloaks. Some lean against one another, asleep but smiling. You sit back down. Press the stone into your palm. Above you, the stars have multiplied. You didn't know there could be so many. A breeze lifts the edges of your cloak. Somewhere nearby, someone begins humming. You think of tomorrow. There may be battle, or sailing, or simply the quiet of home. But tonight you are part of something older than story, older than steel. You are a shield maiden. Not because you're perfect. Because you showed up. Because you stayed. Because you chose this. And tomorrow, you'll choose again. The fire is nearly out now. Only a few glowing coals remain, buried under grey ash like the last heartbeat of a giant. Around it, your companions sleep, wrapped in wool and bare hides, curled like commas in the sentence of the long night. You lie back, the rune stone still in your hand. Its edges are smooth but worn. Someone held this often. Someone traced this same curve with their thumb, maybe as a comfort. Or a promise. The wind hums through the trees. And slowly, like frost creeping over a window pane, sleep comes for you too. You dream, but it doesn't feel like a dream. It feels like memory, pulled from somewhere you haven't been yet. You are on the deck of a ship, but it's unlike any you've sailed before. Its sides shimmer with carved serpents that shift in the moonlight, their eyes glowing red. The sea beneath you is black as pitch, and silent. Too silent. You look down. There's no oars in the water. The ship is moving, but no one is rowing. You are not afraid, only watchful. You turn to the sail. It's white as bone, full with wind, but the air here is still. A figure stands at the prow, tall, unmoving. You step closer. It's Freyja. You know it without question. Her cloak is feathers. Her gaze is flame. She looks at you and says nothing, but she knows you. You try to speak, ask a question, offer a name, something, but your voice is caught, wrapped in mist. She raises a hand, and the sky cracks open, not with rain, but with horses. Not of flesh, but smoke and spirit, eight-legged, roaring with fire, valkyries, thundering across the sky. One looks down at you, and then, you wake. Smoke curls from the coals like the tail of your dream. You sit up fast, heartbeat thudding like a war drum in your ribs. It's still night, but the sky is changing. Pale blue leaks up from the east. The first hour of dawn, Dagmal, as the Norse called it. The time of quiet oaths, of waking gods. You rise, brushing the frost from your cloak, and walk toward the stream that runs beyond the gathering hall. Your breath mists. Your boots crunch softly. There, by the water, stands Astrid. She is not surprised to see you. Dreams? She asks. You nod. Good, she says. It means they still speak. She kneels by the bank and dips her fingers into the icy water. Then she cups it, drinks, and wipes her mouth with the back of her hand. You do the same. In Norse culture, water wasn't just for washing, it was sacred. Streams and wells were believed to connect the realms, especially Mimisbrunna, Mim is well, the well of wisdom. Odin himself gave an eye to drink from it. You feel wiser, maybe, or just awake. Astrid rises. Come, she says. There's something you should see. Astrid leads you along the ridge, boots sliding on frost-slick rock. The wind has teeth here. Your cloak flutters behind you, a shadow trying to keep up. You crest a hill. Below you, shrouded in early mist, lies a circle of stones. Large, ancient, marked with runes so old they've softened into the rock itself. There are 5 others already there. Women, all shield maidens. Some from your village, others from across the fjord. They don't speak. They nod. That is enough. Astrid joins the circle and gestures for you to do the same. This is no ordinary gathering. This is an oath ceremony, not the kind sung over mead or muttered in drunken bravado. This is the old kind. Vikings were people of their word. Breaking an oath wasn't just dishonorable, it was dangerous. To lie before the gods could twist fate, could invite ruin, could mark your name forever in the sagas as a coward. Astrid unclasps a leather pouch. Inside is a small bowl of animal blood. Likely goat, maybe pig. It steams faintly in the morning chill. She dips her thumb into it and marks her brow, then her heart, then the hilt of the small blade at her hip. Each of the others does the same. Then she passes the bowl to you. You hesitate, not from fear, but reverence. The blood is warm. It smells of iron and earth. You mark your brow, your heart, your hilt. The rite is complete. Astrid raises her voice. We swear not to break the circle. We swear to defend one another, even in the shadows. We swear to speak our truths, even when the wind turns against us. You repeat after her, line by line. The others echo. The wind stills, and somewhere in the mountains, thunder rumbles. It is far off, but not by much. You glance at Astrid. She smiles. Good, she says. He hears us. He, Thor. To the Norse, thunder wasn't just weather, it was presence. It meant Thor was near, hammer in hand, riding across the sky in his goat-drawn chariot. He was protector of Midgard, the mortal realm, the bringer of storms, the breaker of giants. The oath is done, but Astrid isn't finished. There is one more thing, she says, and from beneath her cloak, she draws a small bundle, wrapped in linen, tied with sinew. She opens it carefully. Inside is a pendant, carved from bone, worn smooth with age. A hammer. Mjolnir. This is no common trinket. It belonged to her mother, and her mother before that. Astrid steps forward. She looks at you. You dreamed. You stayed. You swore. She places the pendant in your hand. This is yours now. You don't speak. You can't. The others nod. Some smile. You tie the cord around your neck. The hammer rests near your heart. You are not a visitor to this night anymore. You are part of it. The pendant is still warm from Astrid's hand. You clutch it as the sky grumbles again. Closer now. Not rage. Not wrath. A warning. The North has a way of watching those who speak vows aloud. Especially women like you. Especially nights like this. The others begin their descent back to the camp, but Astrid holds you back. There's one more step, she says. Not for them. For you. You glance at her. She isn't smiling anymore. She points to the tree line. Take nothing but your shield. Walk to the old cairn. Stay until the wind changes. Then return. You want to ask what it means, but you don't. You just nod. You walk alone. The shield on your back creaks with every step. The path narrows. The light fades behind the firs. And then, there it is. The cairn. A pile of stones, moss-covered, half-swallowed by roots. It isn't big, but it feels enormous. There are bones beneath it. You know that without needing to ask. Maybe an ancestor. Maybe a warrior. Maybe both. You set your shield down. Kneel. Wait. The wind shifts. North to east. Then nothing. Stillness. You're not sure how long you sit there. Could be minutes. Could be hours. You think of your first real wound. Of the girl you once were. Of the dream. Of Frasier. You think of the blood vow still drying on your skin. You think of Thor. How he's watching. How he judges, not with words, but with storms. The trees whisper. A pine cone drops behind you with a thud like a footstep. You turn. No one's there. But your heartbeat shifts. You reach for your shield. And stand. That's when you hear it. Not thunder. Not wolves. Not voices. Just breath. Your own. Steady. Ready. You've passed the test. Whatever it was. You walk back, slower this time. Not because you're tired. Because you are heavier. Wiser. More real. At the edge of the camp, you see it. Smoke rising from the hall. Not from fire. From the hearth. They are waiting. You step inside. Everyone looks. But no one asks. They know. You pass Era. She gives you the smallest nod. Astrid lifts a cup. She returns. A cheer rises, not loud, but deep. Like thunder wrapped in fur. They make space by the fire. You sit. The pendant around your neck catches the glow. Someone passes you a bowl. Thick stew. Hot. Earthy. Spiced. You eat. You breathe. You are not who you were. You are a shield maiden. Made not by war, but by waking. The sun rises without apology. It pours over the village rooftops like a second fire. Not warm, just bright. Cold light, sharp and silver. You wake with stiff limbs and smoke in your hair. Your cloak smells of pine and ash and salt. A good scent. The scent of home and distance combined. Today, you sail. The others are already moving. Around the longhouse, boots thud on frozen ground. Hands hoist barrels. Voices mutter in checklists. Shield. Rations. Water. Rope. Salted fish. Honey. Axes. Oil. Spare tunics. Not many words are needed. Everyone knows what to do. You lace your boots tighter. Secure your hair in a braid. Tight, practical, out of the way. Loose hair catches wind, catches blades. You tighten the leather cord around your neck. Frasier's pendant rests just beneath your collarbone, warmed by your skin. You step down to the water. The longship waits. It sits low, lean, and ready. Sleek with curves like a serpent, carved with patterns so old they've lost their names. The prow rises in a curling dragon's head, tongue lashing the wind. This is not just a boat. This is a weapon, a road, a home. You climb aboard. Your place is near the midsection, where the shield maidens sit. Not for decoration, not for show. You row, you fight, you navigate. Despite popular legend, Viking expeditions were not all plunder and pillage. Many were for trade, diplomacy, exploration, but weapons were always close. You glance across the crew. There are men you trust, women you admire, a boy who shouldn't be here yet, but is, and in the far corner, a woman sharpening her blade on a whetstone that once belonged to her mother's mother. A raven circles above. You nod to it. Maybe Odin watches. Astrid appears last, as always. She doesn't rush, doesn't shout, just steps aboard and sits at the tiller like she was carved into it. She raises her arm. Row. The longship glides from the shore like a beast finally released. Oars slap the water in rhythm, a heartbeat made of wood and muscle. You pull in time with the rowers, your arms tightening, legs braced against the ribs of the ship. There is no command shouted, only the drum. And the drum is not loud. It suggests, and everyone listens. This is not your first voyage, but it never feels routine. There is a certain silence to rowing that only the sea understands. Around you, shields line the gunwales, painted with symbols, faded from sun and battle. Each is personal. A name, a story, a warning. Yours bears the mark of your village and a spiral pattern once drawn by your grandmother. She called it the unbroken path. It has held against 3 blades. You hope it holds again. The water opens. The fjord widens, giving way to the vast grey throat of the sea. The wind thickens. The waves rise. Sea spray slaps your cheek, stinging and welcome. You've crossed these waters before, but never so far as this. The destination is a distant outpost, half trading partner, half rival. Astrid seeks alliance, maybe, or maybe tribute, or maybe something only she knows. You aren't told. You don't need to be. Your job is to watch the sky. You shift your gaze upward. Thin clouds trace across the sun, pulling light into strands. Astrid sees them too. Storm signs, she murmurs. By nightfall. You nod. Vikings didn't use compasses. They used sunstones, crystals like Iceland spar that could polarize light even on cloudy days. They read the sea, the birds, the behavior of whales. They memorized the shape of islands and the smell of water. You've seen Astrid test the wind with her palm. Smell the sky. Change course before the gulls even move. You trust her. Time becomes distance. You lose count of strokes. The sun begins to fall, as promised. And then, a sound. Not loud, not sudden, but wrong. A shift in the air. The oars falter. The waves curl tighter, meaner. The ship groans. Astrid's voice cuts through the wind. Hold fast. You grip the edge of the bench. A wall of cloud barrels over the sea. It's not a storm, it's a beast. Hungry, black. Lightning flickers like ribs behind the clouds. You remember what Astrid said. Thor watches storms. But you wonder, does he protect from them, or guide them toward those worth testing? The storm doesn't arrive. It erupts. Wind punches the sail and nearly rips it in half. Rain slams sideways, slicing like knives. The sea, once wide and solemn, now snarls and coils like Jormungandr, the great serpent that encircles the world. You shout, but your voice vanishes. Astrid is at the tiller, cloak whipping like a flag of defiance. Her lips move, prayer or command, you can't tell. Maybe both. The rowers dig in. Not for rhythm now, for survival. Every wave is a mountain, every crash a war drum. You grip your shield, not for defense, but for weight, to anchor yourself to the planks. A man is thrown overboard. Gone. No cry, no farewell, just salt and silence. The longship tilts, nearly topples, but rights itself. The shields bang together like iron teeth. Your hands bleed, and you don't notice. Your breath becomes a chant. Hold, pull, live. Hold, pull, live. You do not know how long the storm lasts. It may have been minutes, or the length of a saga. But eventually, the roar softens. The wind stumbles. The sea, still bitter, still rolling, lets you go. The rain fades into mist. And the world quiets. Bodies are counted. 1 gone, 2 injured, a cracked rib, a dislocated shoulder, a split brow. You are still here, barely. You look at Astrid. She looks at you. No words, just knowing. That night, the ship is pulled into a sheltered cove. Small, secret, known only by trees and tides. No fire, just silence and the sound of waves exhaling against the shore. You sit apart. You touch the pendant beneath your tunic. And you realize, today, you were not brave. You were terrified, but you stayed. You rode when your arms failed. You gripped your shield when your fingers slipped. You watched death pass you and did not let go. That is what it means to be a shield maiden. Not fearlessness. Loyalty. Not glory. Endurance. As you drift to sleep on wet wood, curled beneath a cloak that still smells of smoke and seaweed, you whisper to no one. I am still here. The sea is behind you now. The salt still lingers in your clothes, but the ship has been pulled onto dry land, its belly resting in frostbitten earth like a sleeping dragon. The oars are stacked. The sail is furled. Your arms ache in places you didn't know existed. But your feet? They still want to move. So you train. It's winter now, the raiding season over. The skies are low, and the air bites with a bitterness that feels personal. Snow falls sideways, and every breath is a little fight. Still, the warriors gather in the longhouse clearing, boots crunching over packed frost. You grip your shield in your left hand, your training axe in your right. The wood is splintered, worn soft by months of use. It's not meant to kill, just bruise. Maybe crack a rib or two. Era stands opposite you. She doesn't smile. She rarely does. Shield training among Vikings was more than sparring. It was ritual, rhythm, and reputation. Most battles began with shields locked, shoulders pressed tight. You didn't swing wildly. You waited, watched, reacted, and you learn more from losing than winning. Today, you lose. Hard. Era charges with a rhythm you've never seen before. Low, fast, angled from the left. You raise your shield too slow. Her axe slams into the edge, and your wrist folds back with a snap of pain. You drop the weapon. The cold doesn't let you feel the damage right away. Not until later. You bite down on a curse. Era doesn't mock you. She nods once. Again tomorrow. Then she walks away, just like that. Your wrist throbs. Inside the longhouse, warmth hits your face like a welcome insult. The hearth is blazing, meat hisses on the spit, and the younger ones argue over who gets the biggest bowl of stew. You wrap your wrist in wool soaked in pine sap and mead, a crude treatment, but it will hold. Astrid notices. She walks over, pulls a stool beside you, and sits like a mother about to scold. You rushed. You nod. You followed her hands, not her feet. Another nod. She made you angry. This time, you pause. A beat. Then, yes. Astrid leans back, her eyes half-lidded. Then she won twice. The next day, you wake to snow covering everything like ash. You don't train. You can't. Not with your wrist like this. You watch from the sideline, sharpening blades and observing footwork, trying to learn without moving. That's when you meet Yrsa. She's younger. Maybe 16. Maybe less. She holds her shield like it's twice her weight, and flinches when someone yells. She notices your arm. Did she do that? You nod. She looks terrified. She's not cruel, you say, just precise. Yrsa whispers, I want to fight, but I think I'm not built for it. You look at her. Thin, nervous, raw, just like you were. You hand her your practice shield. You don't have to win, just don't run. That night, Yrsa trains. She gets knocked down 3 times, but she stands up 4. Even Era nods at her once. Over the next days, your wrist begins to heal, but not fully. Still tender, still weak. You favor your left side, test it quietly. You begin teaching the younger warriors how to brace with their legs, how to absorb a hit without shattering, how to breathe in a fight. It isn't glory, but it feels right. Vikings didn't fight just with strength. They fought with technique, with patience, with community. Even the fiercest shield maidens were also teachers. And now it's your turn. One evening, the longhouse fills with smoke and laughter. It's Jolablot, a winter feast in honor of Odin, of survival, and of the coming sun. The tables are packed with stewed lamb, flatbread, pickled fish, and mead flowing like thawed ice. The children wear wreaths of straw. The old warriors toast to those who didn't return. You offer your own toast, to Era, your wrist, and Yrsa's first bruise. You hear someone call you half mother, half savage. You laugh. You like that. After the feast, Astrid speaks with the Volva, the seer woman, cloaked in blue wool, her face marked with soot and bone-white paint. The Volva watches you across the fire, and beckons. You hesitate, then follow. She brings you to the back of the longhouse, where the smoke barely reaches and the firelight fades. She presses a finger to your forehead. You're not done hurting. she says. Good, you whisper. Then I'm still learning. She nods, then gives you something wrapped in wool. A strip of carved antler, a rune burned into it. You don't know the symbol. She doesn't explain. Back in the sleeping quarters, you show it to Astrid. She smiles. Rado, she says. The rune of the journey. You ask, forward or back? Astrid replies, both. The storm came again. But this one wasn't of wind or water. It was a funeral. They brought her home on a wooden shield. Not yours, but someone's. Her name was Sif. You knew her. Not closely, but enough. You trained beside her in younger winters. You remembered the scar on her collarbone, the way she always carved her meat with a hunting knife instead of the feasting blade. She laughed like it hurt her. She never ducked. She did not die on a raid. She fell from a cliff, alone, hunting a goat. It sounds foolish, until it isn't. Her body is laid on the altar stone. Snow dusts her hair. Her axe rests beside her, wrapped in wool. Her eyes are closed, but she doesn't look peaceful. She looks angry. There's something in your throat. Not grief, not fear. Something harder. The vulva prepares her for the journey. In Viking tradition, death wasn't an end. It was a crossing, a threshold. Warriors hoped for Valhalla, but others believed in Folkvanger, or even hell. No fire, no torture, just a cold land of silence. You're not sure where Sif is going, but she's going somewhere. The village sings her passage. A chant, low and slow, rising like mist from stone lips. You sing too, not loud, but true. That night, the veil feels thin. The wind outside moans in strange patterns. Candles flicker when they shouldn't. The dogs bark at nothing. Someone says they saw a raven with 2 heads. Someone else swears the mead soured without cause. You don't sleep. Neither does Astrid. She sits beside the hearth, sharpening her seeks. Not to fight, just to hear the metal sing. You ask her, do you think the dead hear us? She doesn't look up. I think the ones we owe always do. The next morning, the vulva finds you. She speaks only once. Come. You walk with her past the village border, past the stone cairns, past the wolf's den, now frozen shut. She stops at a circle of birch trees. They bend like they're listening. She kneels, draws symbols in the snow with a bone needle, then hands it to you. You are standing on the line, she says. You feel it. Something moves beneath your boots, like a breath trapped in the earth. The vulva chants. Soft, strange. She tells you to close your eyes. You do. And then, nothing, but cold. Colder than before. A silence that isn't empty. A space that isn't space. Then, voices. Not loud, but layered. Like wind moving through hollow things. You can't make out words. Only feeling. Regret. Warning. A name. Not yours, but one you know. Yrsa. You open your eyes. The vulva is still chanting. You blink. Snow has fallen on your shoulders. Time has passed. Maybe an hour. Maybe more. You say nothing. She nods once. Your road just shifted. Back at the longhouse, you find Yrsa in the training yard. She's laughing with Era. Her eye is swollen. Her grin is wild. You sit beside her. Say nothing. Just watch. Something in you has changed. Or maybe awakened. You can still fight. But now, you see. The threads. The way things tie together. The way the wind carries more than snow. That night, Astrid approaches you with something wrapped in hide. You open it. A cloak. Deep blue. Stitched at the edges with black horsehair. A small patch of red thread near the collar. A mark of trust. Of transition. You're not just a fighter now. You're something else. Watcher. Teacher. Dreamer. She calls you by a new name. Not aloud. But you feel it settle in your bones. You lie awake by the hearth. The fire low. The mead warm. Yrsa asleep beside the dogs. Era sharpening her blade with her back turned. The wind hums a lullaby through the cracks in the timber. And you whisper to no one. I am listening. The night is thick. Thicker than snow, thicker than darkness. It sits on your chest like a second skin. You don't remember falling asleep, but you wake suddenly. Astrid is standing over you. It's time, she says. That's all. You rise. You don't ask why. You don't ask where. Because you already know. This is your trial. Not of battle. You fought. Not of faith. You've believed. This one is different. This one is ancient. Outside, the sky hasn't yet turned. It's that deep, ink-soaked blue, neither night nor morning. Astrid walks ahead with a lantern. The flame barely flickers. You pass the edge of the village. No words are spoken. Yrsa sees you go. She doesn't follow. Not this time. You reach the circle of Hagalas. 6 standing stones, shaped like jagged teeth, arranged in a ring. Frost bites their roots. You can feel something old humming in the air. Hagalas, the rune of hail, of chaos, of disruption. It means what breaks you can also rebuild you. Astrid turns to you. Leave your weapons. You do. Your sword, your axe, even your pendant. You feel bare. She nods toward the center of the stones. You stay here until dawn. You open your mouth to speak, but she's already walking away. The lantern vanishes behind a tree. You are alone. The cold is immediate. There is no fire, no torch, just the stars. For a moment, you feel foolish. Then you feel nothing. Then, you feel everything. Memories come in waves. The storm at sea. Sif's eyes. Yrsa's bruises. Astrid's silence. Your grandmother's stories. They all crash over you like surf in the dark. You pace. You sit. You stand again. Your feet go numb. But you stay. This was real. Vikings believed in testing one's soul, not just the body. These rites weren't for glory. They were for truth. To peel away who you pretended to be and reveal what the gods might actually see. You stare into the dark until your eyes make shapes. At one point, you think you see a figure in the trees. A woman, draped in smoke, falcon feathers around her shoulders. She says nothing, just watches, then fades. You don't move. You don't need to. You know who it was. Time becomes unreal. Then, a line of gold splits the horizon. The frost on the stones begins to melt. And you're still standing. Your breath shaky, but present. Your fingers curled. Not from fear, from readiness. The sun rises like a drumbeat without sound. You step out of the circle. Your legs almost give, but they don't. Astrid is there, waiting. She sees your eyes, your posture. You've changed. She nods and gives you back your pendant. You tie it on. It feels lighter now. Not because it's weaker, because you're stronger. Back in the village, no one asks what happened. They don't need to. They see it in how you move. You train. You lead. You tell stories at the hearth, and others listen. Even Era. Even Yrsa. One morning, weeks later, Astrid finds you beside the stream. She looks older than she did. Not tired. Just done. She holds out her axe. You blink. She places it in your hands. I'm sailing west, she says, to find something I've lost. You ask what? She just smiles and walks away. You watch her disappear into the mist. And when you turn back toward the village, they are waiting. Not behind you. Beside you. You are no longer the shield maiden who began this journey. You are the shield bearer now. Not just of wood and iron, but of story, of names, of the next ones. You smile. You do not feel ready, but you do not feel afraid. And just like that, your night as a Viking Shield Maiden comes to an end. The sea behind you has calmed. The fire is down to glowing embers. The frost has softened into morning mist. And the village, once filled with songs and war cries, now sleeps beneath a sky washed clean by dawn. You survived the raid. You braved the storm. You bled. You healed. You carried grief and memory like a second shield across your back. You didn't become a hero. You became something rarer. Human. Because the truth is, being a Viking wasn't always about glory. Sometimes, it was just about waking up sore but whole. About teaching someone smaller how to hold a blade. About standing still in the cold and facing what scared you. Maybe you expected a battle, but what you found was a story. A story carved into the bones of winter, etched in ash, carried by wind, and now carried by you. You've walked in the boots of someone long gone, felt the chill of her nights, heard the silence between her heartbeats, and maybe, just maybe, you'll carry a piece of her with you when you wake. Because that's what stories do. They don't just entertain. They remember. And now, you remember. So thank you for wandering through this long, mythic night with me. If your eyes are heavy now, that's okay. Let them close. The longship is docked. The shield is hung. The mead is gone. You've earned your rest, Shield Maiden. But if you ever feel the pull of old worlds again, if you ever want to step into another forgotten story, well, you know where to find me. This has been Wandering Storyteller. Sleep well, dream deeply, and I'll see you in the next one.